Hi, my name is Wesley Ogino. This is my risk management project for RPTM 390. Risk management, as defined in class, is the control of financial and personal injury losses due to sudden, unforeseen, unusual accidents and intentional torts. Risk management plans are formed to prevent legal liability, along with ensuring the maintenance and delivery of a quality program. In order to present a thorough risk management plan, the plan must encompass both what must be done to control risks, along with providing justification for why the risk management steps are being followed. While participating in tailgating activities during the first Penn State home game this fall, I discovered a risk that is associated with the parking procedures for the reserved parking area next to the northwest end of the stadium, Lot 17, which runs along East Park Avenue. Due to this area being sold as reserved parking, specific parking spaces are assigned when purchased by tailgaters. This is contrary to the first-come, first-served general tailgating lots, like those found in the IM fields, that are filled in respective order of fans' arrival. The specific risk I noticed was caused by tailgaters who arrived at a much later time than other tailgaters. They enter the lots when everyone has already settled in and set up their tailgating gear, which could include anything from tents to grills to coolers. At the particular tailgate I was at, we were constantly forced to move ourselves and our tailgating equipment out of the way to allow these late arrivers to reach their designated parking spots. To make matters worse, many patrons are undoubtedly intoxicated at this point, inhibiting their ability to focus and stay cautious, or even notice, that vehicles are trying to pass by them. Some drivers would even get frustrated and make brash decisions such as stomp on the gas and drive around the people that are not moving, putting other people in danger. Small children are often found to be running around freely in Lot 17, which presents the risk of vehicles, especially larger vehicles, not being able to see them and striking a child. With all of these obvious risks due to the way the parking in this area has been set up, it is very surprising that the university has not found a safer way to park tailgaters in the Lot 17 reserved parking area. This risk can be identified as a case of public liability caused by negligence. This is the correct identification of the risk because injuries or death caused by a driver would not be intentional, and the university is also not intentionally letting this happen. The party at fault would be Penn State Transportation Services, as they are responsible for the management of parking services during events such as Penn State football games. They are also responsible for their parking attendants employees and establishing specific responsibilities for these parking attendants based on what area they are in while directing parking operations in the tailgating lots. By using the risk management process taught to us in class, I identified and evaluated this risk by being personally present while the risk occurred, as I myself was put into risk as cars barely squeezed by the area where my friends and I were standing. If I myself was the head manager for game day parking operations within Penn State Transportation Services, I would conduct my observation of this potential risk by first reviewing accident reports pertaining to patrons who are tailgating being struck by vehicles within the tailgating lots, especially Lot 17. I would also stand in and observe the parking process for Lot 17, especially at times when the lots are mostly filled, watching as late arrivers are attempting to maneuver their way to their designated parking spots. I would evaluate this risk by looking at two characteristics of the accident reports, starting with the frequency in which such accidents have occurred, and then the severity of said accidents, or better put, as the amount of money the injury itself cost the liable party. I would also apply these two characteristics in looking to see the possible consequences of future accidents caused by not providing a solution to this issue. The best risk treatment strategy that could be used to address this risk is risk reduction. This involves creating a plan to contain and reduce the effects of the risk. I believe this is the best option because very small adjustments would potentially decrease the risk to a minimal level or make it disappear as a whole. The frequency and severity are most likely low due to the fact that vehicles are generally slowly inching their way through the driving areas of Lot 17, so risk reduction fits perfectly to ensure that the frequency and severity stays low or decreases even more. My plan consists of a small adjustment that would place a parking attendant near the entrance to each of the Lot 17 parking rows. That attendant would be responsible for communicating with the driver to help find their designated spot, walking with and directing that driver through the driving lane of that parking row while ensuring that bystanders and their belongings are not in the way of the vehicle, along with occasionally monitoring each row every half hour to guarantee that tailgating equipment is not overflowing into the driving lane in each parking row. After making the decision to use risk reduction, I would implement my risk treatment strategy by first assigning myself or another experienced parking attendant as the leader responsible for starting this new initiative for Lot 17. I would then introduce new training for all attendants who will work in Lot 17, presenting them with the guidelines on how to properly direct vehicles through the hectic parking rows in a safe and efficient manner. I would ask for parking attendants to communicate with me before, during, and after the first time trying this possible solution on a game day in order to gain opinions from those who are experiencing the effects of implementation firsthand. Finally, if the new initiative shows positive results in reducing risk of patrons being struck by a car in Lot 17, I would implement a written policy that would provide new training procedures and on-the-job responsibilities for parking attendants, along with a policy for tailgaters parking in Lot 17, which would instruct them on how they will now be directed to their spot by a parking attendant. Hopefully, the risk involved with being a patron in Lot 17 will be solved by the implementation of this risk management procedure. Thank you for taking the time to check out my risk management project for RPTM 390.